When you are working with watercolor paints, you want to get started by putting a little bit of water on each color to get it going. And if it's been used before your class, it's probably already has some water on it. But if it hasn't been used, then you just need to put a little drop of water on each one. One thing that I want you to remember about painting with watercolors is that you shouldn't ever have to scoop the paint out of the pans. It shouldn't be gooey or sticky. So you can add water to it. If the paint is dry, definitely add water to it in the actual pan, or you can add some water to your mixing tray and then add the color to that water. So I have a little bit of water in here. Now I'm going to put the color in the puddle of water. And you can see what I've done here is this is more paint and less water. This one is a little bit less paint and more water. So that's going to be lighter, and this is going to be darker when I paint with it. When you mix your colors, you can either use one of these watercolor lids that's plastic, or you can use this little ceramic dish. It doesn't matter, it's just your preference. And when you mix colors, what you want to do first is make a puddle of water where you want to mix the colors. And then you'll take the color and put it in the little puddle of water. So if I wanted to make green, I would take yellow and put some yellow in the puddle of water. Rinse my brush off and then get some blue and put the blue in the yellow. And now I have green that I can paint with. This technique is called an even wash, and when you do it, it's just an even wash of color on the paper without many little blotches or anything like that. So what you do is you hold the paper at an angle so the paint can run down, and you go from side to side. So I'm starting in the corner and going to the right, and you can see the paint is running down to the bottom of that area, and I'm going to keep pulling the paint down as I go, and it'll keep running down. And I can fill up a whole paper with this if I want. This is a good technique if you're doing a landscape and you're painting the sky. So this technique is called a gradiated wash, and it's where the paint color starts with dark, and then as it goes down, it gets lighter. So I'm going to start with this dark blue, and I'm going to hold my paper at an angle, just like I did when I was doing the even wash. And I'm going to start painting the paper, going back and forth, pulling the color down. And then I'm going to rinse my brush off, or I'm just going to get a little bit of water. And I'm going to use the paper towel and dab the brush on the paper towel. And then I'm going to keep painting without getting more paint. And then I'm going to get a little bit more water on the brush to water the paint down. And that just dilutes the color and makes it lighter as I go. I'm just going to keep doing that until I get the effect that I want. So you can see that it starts dark and gets lighter as it goes down. This technique was called the wet on wet technique, and I'm going to lay down an area of color. I'm using a lot of water and paint, and while that is still wet, I'm going to use another color and paint right on that. And because it is I'm painting on a wet surface, the paint will bleed and run. This technique is called dry brush. I'm getting a little green on the brush, and then I'm going to take a paper towel and dry off most of that, but there's still paint on the brush, and if I lightly brush it onto the paper, this is the effect. Again, it's called dry brush.